Hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. I just came back from Glasgow yesterday, which is about almost 6 hours, I think, drive with my family. I wasn't driving, but I don't drive anymore. But yeah, I was with my family. But yeah, so I was a bit tired and I didn't quite get around to uploading video. I was going to stay up late and make a video, but for whatever reason, I didn't quite get around to it. But anyway, yeah, maybe I'll talk more about my trip later on. I was thinking of doing a review of the Airbnb I went to, but I'm not 100% sure. Like, I wonder if I should ask their permission first, although it is giving them free advertising, really. But anyway, and I hope people like my shave as well. I went to the barbers and got a shave before I went, and a haircut as well. So I'm almost completely bald. I probably should have just went completely bald, but maybe not used to it. Anyway, also another thing I forgot to mention in my last video actually was that, well, one thing I forgot to mention in my last video at least is that I didn't really plan it, so I did it a bit of a sort of rush. But anyway, my sister, unfortunately, one of my sisters got COVID. Strangely enough, I was going to say funny enough, but that's probably not the right word. The one who's actually a doctor got COVID, but hopefully she'll get better soon. But I did a test for COVID. The bad news, I'll get the bad news out of the way. I did have a bit of a rough stomach, and my eyes are feeling a bit sore, so I hope I'm not coming down with it. But I did. The good news is I did a test when I came back briefly after, almost exactly when I came back, because my brother said you better do a test to make sure you're okay for everyone else's safety as well. Excuse me, especially. But yeah, so I did a test and it came back negative. So yeah, it's funny that in general in life, if you say negative, it's a negative thing. But obviously, when you're testing for potential illness or disease, if you're negative, it's positive. But anyway, sorry for waffling, but yeah, I thought I'd get that news out of the way. But yeah, so Glasgow was pretty beautiful. And I did share the last video with my relatives, and the one who lives in Scotland said next time I try and take you to Celtic Park, maybe do a tour of Celtic Park and all that, as I mentioned in my last video. Anyway, I'm going to try and crack on with this video, which I've been thinking about for a while. Shame I couldn't upload it, or I didn't manage to upload it in Glasgow itself. But anyway, I'm going to try and crack on. I hope Dyslexic Billionaires out there will somehow stumble across this video, or maybe I can share the link with their businesses and their people, or whatever their employees, could share it with them perhaps. Anyway, here we go. Please check out part 1 if you haven't done so. For anyone who might stumble across this crazy guy here, this mad crazy guy here, I do videos where I often do like list videos, and I chop them into 3 different parts, so they're hopefully not too long if I don't waffle too much like I'm doing now. So on part 1 I covered 1 to 10, and now I'm going to try and cover 11, or hopefully I will cover 11 to 20, all being well, God willing, Godspeed. So here goes. So number 11, I would love to know, I would love to, for Dyslexic Billionaires perhaps, to make their own videos in answer to this, perhaps, or even write in the comments maybe, or something like that, or write me an email or something like that, if I leave my email address. I'm not sure if that'd be wise, but anyway, I would love to know what Dyslexic Billionaires would perhaps change about my ideas. Like, would they change the name of the Dyslexic Billionaires United Company? Would they change some of the process, or anything else that they would change? Obviously, if Dyslexic Billionaires join, it would be their group, or your group if you're watching. If I get to share with Dyslexic Billionaires, I say so. It's up to you what would change, or what would be done, and all that kind of thing. So I'd love to know what you change. Like, would you change the name? Would you change some of the aims or the goals or things like that? I think that covers number 11. Number 12, would you be prepared or happy to even keen to and interested in mentoring fellow dyslexics who are not as successful like myself, to be honest, but also especially in developing countries, as I mentioned in part 1, and in many of my videos I've mentioned, like, I would love to support developing countries. Would you be happy to mentor your fellow dyslexics, or even people with other similar learning disabilities or related learning disabilities? Maybe there could be versions also for people with ADHD and even autism and Asperger's and other backgrounds. I know Asperger's is a type of autism, I believe. But yeah, would you be happy to mentor other people with learning disabilities, especially dyslexia, in parts of Africa, Asia, and places like that? Teach them and train them and pass on their skills and knowledge and that sort of thing. Yeah, I think that covers number 12. I often worry if I forgot something, but yeah, I think that covers everything. I can always probably put it in the comment section, post in the comment section if I forgot anything. Number 13, what sort of challenges do you think this network could face? Like some of the things I want to do, would there be legal permission to do so? I never want to break the law personally, but would we be able to do those things? Like, do you think I'm being too ambitious when I say maybe the company itself could be $1 trillion or even £1 trillion company, and I'd love to donate to Italian football and Celtic and things like that, and charities, and my political goals and whatnot. But do you think that I'm being too unrealistic? And also the tax exemption. I would love for dyslexic people, including millionaires and billionaires, to be tax exempt in all possible countries, because the fact that so many people with learning disability have struggled in the academic system and even end up in prison and being unemployed, and maybe the more wealthier dyslexics could mentor for, teach, train, and support generally those people. But do you think we would meet those challenges? What sort of challenges do you think this company could have? Again, that's another thing I would love to hear from dyslexic billionaires themselves. I included that's number 13 because I have the fear of number 13, which I know has a name, but I often forget how to pronounce it. Anywho, number 14, that would be definitely a bit difficult one for dyslexics to spell as well, because I've read it on Google. Number 14, what do you think could be solutions to those problems? And also, do you think this network, if and when it came to fruition, when it came to practice, got started up, what sort of problems do you think the company could solve? Do you think it could solve a lot of problems? I think it could solve a lot of problems. For instance, it would show what dyslexic people can achieve and help with dyslexic people's confidence, hopefully, around the world, especially in developing countries, I'd say, but even in the UK or the US or elsewhere where dyslexic people might lack self-esteem. Like, for instance, when I was at school, if I would have heard of a Dyslexic Billionaires network, I'm sure I'd have been treated better by my peers, possibly. I'm pretty sure about that. And also I would have felt more confident as well for various reasons. I'm pretty sure about that. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, if there was just even a list of dyslexic billionaires and stroke or network especially, I think that would really give a lot of confidence, as well as the fact we could invest in those in fellow dyslexics. And also with that pool of money, I think money does give opportunities to invest in things. As I often say, most of my money personally I would give away, but I do think it gives you a certain amount of freedom and all that kind of thing, and also a certain amount to live on. So you certainly need a certain amount of money to live on, that sort of thing. But yeah, I think we would be able to solve or certainly tackle challenges like climate change or global warming, illnesses, diseases, effects of natural disasters at least, and things like that. So I'm sure we'd be able to solve problems. But I'd love to hear from dyslexic billionaires to say, which is what these videos are about at this moment, these specific videos. But yeah, I'd love to know if you feel we could solve a lot of problems, and what problems do you think we could solve with that money and collaboration as well. And dyslexic people can be good at problem solving ourselves, so maybe even just investing in fellow dyslexics and that sort of thing. Number 15, what are your general plans, priorities, goals, aims, objectives, or even dreams in life? Like, is it to have even more money? Is it to have fun? Is it to help others, or whatever else? I would love to hear again from dyslexic billionaires. As with all these questions, I would love to hear their answers to these questions, like what you, if any dyslexic billionaires get to watch this, what are your main goals in life, or again, aims, aspirations? Again, it could be making even more money. It could be you think you've got enough money and you would love to help others or have fun, or whatever. I'd love to hear what your main goals and objectives are generally, and maybe even for this group specifically. Like you say, I'd love to, hopefully you'll have the same passion as I have and the same excitement for it. I hope to come to that. But yeah, what would you like to achieve generally, and do you think this network could help with those goals? Number 16, what would be your advice for other dyslexic people, or even other people generally who want to become billionaires, perhaps, or just general advice in life? And what do you think the next steps should be done with this network? Like, it could be a harsh answer, like people might say you should scrap this idea, or it's not workable, or you might even say the opposite and say it's a really good idea, and I think the possibilities could be endless, perhaps, hopefully. But yeah, I would love to hear that. So yeah, what do you think next steps should be taken if and when this network what do you think the next steps are that, on that note, that could get it started, and what do you think the next steps would be if it got started? What do you think we should invest in or do next, basically? And yeah, what do you think are the best actions people could, or things people could do generally that they could take in life or do in life to improve their situation, or even to become a millionaire or even a billionaire? And what do you think is important in life generally? And also, yeah, what do you think of this network generally? What do you think it could do? And again, as I mentioned, as I asked before, what would make you want to join this network? Number 17, I would love to know, do you share my enthusiasm for this network? I suppose I kind of already asked that, but do you have any excitement for this network? I'd love to hear from Dyslexic Billionaires saying that they have excitement and think like this network could change the world in a great way for themselves, each other, and the rest of the world, especially for dyslexic people, the dyslexic community internationally, the global dyslexic network or whatnot. Again, this could be part of other networks, and again, like another strength dyslexic people have is imagination, which is probably also used to solve problems and things like that. It's probably sort of connected. But yeah, do you share my enthusiasm, and where do you see this business could go if it got up and running? Hopefully we get some positive answers, but I'll accept if they're not as positive as I'd like. Number 18, again, do you think this could be a positive network that could change the world for the better? I imagine anti-capitalists, as I mentioned in my previous video, my sisters say this would be bad, or it's bad to have billionaires, and I imagine anti-capitalists would be saying it's a really bad thing, or that billionaires should be taxed more, they shouldn't be billionaires, or whatever. Me personally, as you can probably tell by these videos, I don't quite agree with that, although I would like to tackle poverty, but I think it does take all types to make the world, and I think having billionaires makes things interesting. Just the fact, even for one thing, that it's hard to even imagine that kind of money for the average person, for most people. It'd be, as I mentioned before, like it'd be great if I could set this business up, because the biggest thing I ever achieved probably is setting up my own YouTube and actually talking at least half coherently into a camera. I think that goes number 18. But yeah, do you think this could be a positive network? How do you think it could be a positive network? How do you think it could be more positive? What positive changes do you think we could make to the world if and when we got up and running? And yeah, I think that covers everything for number 18. Number 19, would you like to invest in or support generally, or donate to even, African software developers or Indigenous Africans and Australasians? I would love to make projects that help Indigenous Africans and Australasians in software development. And number 20, even in STEM generally. And what do you think the dyslexic billionaires or older dyslexics generally could teach younger people? Like, what, I suppose a question a lot of people ask is, what would you tell your younger self? The Child Mind Institute asks a lot of people with learning disabilities, what would you tell your younger self? And maybe hopefully that could help younger dyslexic people. I appreciate this video's gone on a bit long, but as it's into 30th minute, I'm going to go on to 14 minutes because of my superstition, triskaidopia, or it's called, field number 13. But yeah, what would you tell your younger self? What would you tell younger dyslexic people, or people with learning disabilities generally, or maybe even young people generally, even without learning disabilities, but especially those with learning disabilities, and in particular dyslexia? And how do you think we could have a more positive view of this, or create a more positive view of dyslexia around the world? As a fan of Italian football, I would love to do that through football in Italy, in Africa. I would love to talk about, and Asia and Ireland. I would love to talk about the famous and successful dyslexics. I do find success, or those who are successful in their chosen fields. But yeah, would you like to support Indigenous Africans and Australasians in STEM generally as well? And I am out. Peace out.